Yeah, yeah.
F-U-N-D-E-D-M-E-X-T.
Put 'em up, put 'em up, put 'em up now. Yeah, yeah.
F-U-N-D-E-D-M-E-X-T.
Put 'em up, put 'em up, put 'em up now. Yeah, yeah.
F-U-N-D-E-D-M-E-X-T.
Put 'em up, put 'em up, put 'em up now. Yeah, yeah.
F-U-N-D-E-D-M-E-X-T.
Put 'em up, put 'em up, put 'em up now. Yeah, yeah.
F-U-N-D-E-D-M-E-X-T.
Put 'em up, put 'em up, put 'em up now. Yeah, yeah.
F-U-N-D-E-D-M-E-X-T.
Put 'em up, put 'em up, put 'em up now. Yeah, yeah.
F-U-N-D-E-D-M-E-X-T.
Put 'em up, put 'em up, put 'em up now. Yeah, yeah.
F-U-N-D-E-D-M-E-X-T.
Put 'em up, put 'em up, put 'em up now. Yeah, yeah.
F-U-N-D-E-D-M-E-X-T.
Put 'em up, put 'em up, put 'em up now. Yeah, yeah.
F-U-N-D-E-D-M-E-X-T.
Put 'em up, put 'em up, put 'em up now. Yeah, yeah.
F-U-N-D-E-D-M-E-X-T.
Put 'em up, put 'em up, put 'em up now. Yeah, yeah.
F-U-N-D-E-D-M-E-X-T.
Put 'em up, put 'em up, put 'em up now. Yeah, yeah.
F-U-N-D-E-D-M-E-X-T.
Put 'em up, put 'em up, put 'em up now. Yeah, yeah.
F-U-N-D-E-D-M-E-X-T.
Put 'em up, put 'em up, put 'em up now. Yeah, yeah.
F-U-N-D-E-D-M-E-X-T.
Put 'em up, put 'em up, put 'em up now. Yeah, yeah.
F-U-N-D-E-D-M-E-X-T.
Put 'em up, put 'em up, put 'em up now. Yeah, yeah.
F-U-N-D-E-D-M-E-X-T.
Put 'em up, put 'em up, put 'em up now. Yeah, yeah.
F-U-N-D-E-D-M-E-X-T.
Put 'em up, put 'em up, put 'em up now. Yeah, yeah.
F-U-N-D-E-D-M-E-X-T.
Put 'em up, put 'em up, put 'em up now. Yeah, yeah.
F-U-N-D-E-D-M-E-X-T.
Put 'em up, put 'em up, put 'em up now. Yeah, yeah.
F-U-N-D-E-D-M-E-X-T.
When I take losses, I tend to miss my next trades, which turn out to be winners. How do I break this up? Okay. The bigger issue here is not that your next trades turn out to be winners. It's that the losses affect you so much that you miss the next trade. Being able to deal with that loss well enough so that you can recover quickly and get yourself back sharp and then take the next trade. I mean, there's no chance that the next trade is constantly winning, right? At like a 90 to 100% win rate. You're telling me that suddenly the probability of you winning is much greater after taking a loss? No.
In the city of London, at the age of 18, most are still searching for direction.
I had some of my friends who were quite unsupportive of my trading journey. A lot of them saying, "Oh, you won't make it big in this industry. Just stick to a 9 to 5.
I'm feeling low again. This shit out again.
He found his
Wanna let it
in
go.
the silence.
I didn't listen to any of that.
The charts, the early mornings, the choice to live life on his terms.
Honestly, if I was not a trader at this age, I don't think I would know what I'd be doing right now.
The choice to live life on his terms.
Hello, my name is Daniel. I'm 18 years old and I'm from London, United Kingdom.
Look, replay demo accounts, it's not real trading, right? It's practice. You're playing basketball, playing a pickup game where it doesn't really matter, or just out there shooting by yourself. You're playing a practice round in a golf tournament, before a golf tournament. It's not the actual tournament, right? So your struggle is that you likely don't have enough mental and emotional control to be able to manage live trading. And that's okay. It's intense.
Put 'em up, put 'em up, put 'em up now. Yeah, yeah.
F-U-N-D-E-D-M-E-X-T.
Put 'em up, put 'em up, put 'em up now. Yeah, yeah.
F-U-N-D-E-D-M-E-X-T.
Put 'em up, put 'em up, put 'em up now. Yeah, yeah.
F-U-N-D-E-D-M-E-X-T.
Put 'em up, put 'em up, put 'em up now. Yeah, yeah.
F-U-N-D-E-D-M-E-X-T.
Put 'em up, put 'em up, put 'em up now. Yeah, yeah.
F-U-N-D-E-D-M-E-X-T.
Put 'em up, put 'em up, put 'em up now. Yeah, yeah.
F-U-N-D-E-D-M-E-X-T.
Put 'em up, put 'em up, put 'em up now. Yeah, yeah.
F-U-N-D-E-D-M-E-X-T.
Put 'em up, put 'em up, put 'em up now. Yeah, yeah.
F-U-N-D-E-D-M-E-X-T.
Put 'em up, put 'em up, put 'em up now. Yeah, yeah.
F-U-N-D-E-D-M-E-X-T.
Put 'em up, put 'em up, put 'em up now. Yeah, yeah.
What is up, everybody? Happy to be back for another session. This one on a critical topic, overconfidence. If you immediately think that this doesn't apply to you, that's how you know it does. I don't want you to be overconfident about whether or not this issue applies to you, because it's a sneaky, sneaky problem, and one that causes a lot of chaos and damage. So we're going to get into that. In the last session, we talked about your ability to deal with losses. And here, sometimes the cause of losses is actually related to overconfidence, because it can let you get a little less sophisticated with your entries and push a little size. Look, it doesn't always get punished right away. It can be a sneaky, sneaky thing. So, yeah. And as far as like dealing with losses, hopefully you got a lot out of the last session. I know it is a difficult thing for many of you, right? It's losses are painful, losses set you back, losses don't feel good, and they can and kind of lead to additional losses. So, we're going to get to yeah. So hopefully that resonated with all of you, makes this progress. I've had a number of these sessions already. This is session number 6. So I do hope that there are some follow-up questions from those of you who've come before, maybe giving some updates on how you've been doing and progressing, or additional issues that you're continuing to have, because the mental game is something that continues to evolve. We've talked about a lot of different topics so far. And even as you're making progress, you can oftentimes kind of find additional problems to deal with. So for those that are joining for the first time, welcome. For those that are joining before, welcome to you as well. Excited to be back again. So I'll be talking about overconfidence kind of out of the gate here, but at any point, throw your questions in the chat. The majority of our time today is for me to answer questions that you have, to deal with problems that you're having and get some advice on how to improve them, how to reduce the severity of them and get you back progressing in a way that's measurable and tangible. So yeah, throw your questions in the chat. We'll get to them shortly. But first, the topic of overconfidence. So yes, there are some big signals of overconfidence that oftentimes are hidden. Here are just a few, just to give you some ideas of what we're dealing with. Raising profit targets because you're convinced it's going higher, right? It's okay to raise profit targets as long as it's kind of within your system, not just because you're convinced that it's going higher. That can, having that strong conviction of what's going to happen means that you're overconfident, because you can have confidence that it's going to go higher, but that confidence is going to stay within a probabilistic realm. Again, I've talked about this before. Your job is not to be predictive. Your job is to be probabilistic. So you can believe that it's going higher and raise your profit target within your strategy, but you can't stick around there in that kind of certainty of what's going to happen. So let's get, yep, there we go. Feeling invincible, right? Feeling like you figured it all out. Okay. There's this common issue with a lot of traders, right? Thinking that you kind of found it, like that you've made a bunch of money, you've like had the kind of eye-opening moments with your strategy, maybe in back testing, maybe even in the sim, and it just kind of all feels very clear to you. And then the rewards and the profits are occurring in the short term. Yeah, it just makes you feel like your destiny is kind of laid out in front of you, and you're off to the races to realizing all your potential. You don't know that now at this point, right? And that extreme euphoria that comes from feeling like you figured it all out, right, leaves you blind to a lot of the risks that are associated with overconfidence. Profits makes you feel like you're playing with house money, right? You're up a chunk of money today or on the week, and all of a sudden now it feels like you can kind of get a little loose with your sizing, with your entry parameters, maybe even holding a position longer, because it doesn't feel like it's yours to lose. Like you're kind of gambling it up. Imagining what you're going to do with all the money you'll make. You may get your first payout. Maybe you're starting to get some bigger size payouts. Maybe you're passing some challenges and kind of can see the road in front of you. Again, your mind just jumps into the future, and it's not wrong because we don't know what's going to happen in the future, right? It's the amount of emotion that gets generated by imagining this sort of future. It really starts to blind you, right? As I've said before, right? Emotion is blinding. Emotion reduces your ability to think clearly. And when that overconfidence reaches that point, that's what happens. All right. Wanting to always be in a position or refusal to admit a mistake. 2 other big ones. Look, the wanting to always be in a position, I think, is just kind of the itchiness that comes with the expectation of making more money, right? And especially if you've been doing well, that desire gets high. And the refusal to admit mistake kind of goes right along with the inability to take advice from experts, right? You're kind of in denial of the reality of your weak points. Sometimes traders are so overconfident that they don't even know that they're overconfident, which is a big part of the purpose of our work here today, right? It's so that you can more clearly understand some of the signs of overconfidence. Now, these are the bigger signs. Here are some of the more subtle ones, right? That I think sometimes is really critical for those that have maybe not big examples of overconfidence. You're not outwardly arrogant or boastful, right? You're not like overconfident as a person, right? In terms of your personality, you're not overconfident. There are just times where trading, just kind of bleeds in and makes you believe things that aren't real, right? And so these subtle signs are really key to spot. Number one, because that gives you the chance to get ahead of it. Number two, this is a chance for you to maybe see yourself here and understand that even though maybe there are times where you're dealing with a lack of confidence, overconfidence can creep up for you. So increasing position size indiscriminately, being careless with your pre-market prep. Look, if you're careless with your pre-market prep, you're basically showing up saying, I don't need it, right? And doing your pre-market prep perfectly doesn't mean that you're going to make money today. Being careless with it means that you're not ready to be sharp. And if you think that it's okay for you not to be sharp, then effectively you're kind of gambling with the day a little bit, right? It doesn't guarantee you're going to lose money, but it does mean that probabilistically the odds are lower that the odds are higher that your performance is going to be lower. Because if that wasn't the case, well, then what's the purpose of your pre-market prep anyway, right? Your pre-market prep is there to get you ready to perform, right? Whether it's from a technical standpoint and or a mental one. So if your pre-market prep does not do that, then change it. If it is, and you're careless with it, then you're basically gambling with your performance. It's easy to get overstimulated watching the charts, kind of getting itchy, impatient, or excited, right? Just like you just kind of start revving that engine higher, right? All around that desire to make money. It just like kind of starts to snowball in itself. So yeah, the desire to get more positions, kind of creeps up a bit. Confident that you're going to make back earlier losses. You might, you don't know that you will, right? And how do you know? I mean, to be confident that you're going to make back earlier losses is basically confidence in the market giving you opportunities. How do you know what's going to come? Your job is not to know what's going to happen in the market, but yet somehow you're now confident that you're going to make back losses. Seems like a bit of a diluted sense of reality there. All right, last couple here. Just checking open P&L more. You kind of get hyped up with the P&L, the money that you're making. And then lastly, the hindsight bias. Right, we can stop the share here now. The hindsight bias is sneaky because it like kind of gives you this like false sense that you could have done something different, right? So just for everybody to know, the hindsight basically means trade is over. You see how much you could have made. You see what things you could have done differently in the trade after the fact. And so in reflecting back, there's this sort of shoulda, woulda, coulda, like I should have done X. If I would have done X, but you only know that because you have the full complete answer of what happened. So it's overconfident to think that that's naturally possible for you to do something different. I mean, it's over. You did not take the trades in the way you described, right? You did not enter or hold on to the full target, right? I mean, let's say you even close for a nice winner, but then it goes to 5R. Thinking in retrospect that you could have held longer. Okay, your system actually has to adapt in order for you to capitalize on that extra upside. And maybe you would have captured it theoretically in this one trade, but then maybe it actually cost you more in the future because the other trades aren't going to 5. So being able to be honest with yourself about what you could have done differently, which is 0, and what you're going to try to do differently in the future, maybe. The hindsight bias makes it easy, but the foresight, the generation of real foresight is much harder because it has to, again, fit within a probabilistic system. Otherwise, you're just like kind of chasing your own tail, changing things on the fly to have retrofit back into what just occurred. All right. So let's get to some questions here. The topic of overconfidence is a big one. I'm curious, do you all recognize it? Maybe some examples of signs of overconfidence that you experience, situations where you typically experience them. Like, does it happen, after you're having a winning day, after taking some profitable trades? Does it happen after like a string of winners, after a good week, after getting a payout, when you're close to a payout, when you see other traders making money? FOMO sometimes can be a form of overconfidence, right? You're not going to jump into a position that you don't think that has some legs to it, but now all of a sudden others are making money. Well, then you must be able to make money too, right? It's kind of that false sense of belief that you can naturally make money the way that others are. So, what questions do you all have on this important topic? All right, I believe you must be confident in your strategy and consider there will be good and bad days. Yeah, so I believe that you should also be confident in your strategy as well, right? The confidence and conviction, recognizing that there's ups and downs, right? That this is the nature of the game, which is why the ability to handle losses was so important from the last session. Now, this session, we're trying to make sure that you're not getting kind of too high, like too diluted, so that when there are those good days, they don't turn into bad days, because that's what happens a lot of times, right? You give back too much profit, right? You're not as ruthless about not only maintaining what you've made, but maybe even continuing to grow the account in the right way. All right, I passed my phase 1 of my 6K account with ease, but my phase 2 is taking forever. Do you think I lost confidence? I mostly swing trade on the 4-hour time frame. Maybe you've lost confidence, but maybe you got overconfident. I mean, like the swings of confidence sometimes can be matched with P&L. But like if you, pass with ease, maybe you got a little overconfident that you were going to go through this next phase with ease as well, right? Again, it's you're making this like prediction of what's going to come, but you don't actually know what's going to come. You have to be ready to be able to kind of handle the challenges that each phase entails, including once you get funded and once you're able to get payouts. And I mean, every stage of trading kind of has its own unique challenges. When you think that the next stage is just going to be taken with ease, I believe that there was a little bit of overconfidence. So yes, if you lost confidence in that scenario, it was actually for a good reason, because the overconfidence is not the right mentality to be bringing day in and day out, right? Losing confidence in that regard is probably directionally correct. Now are you perhaps overdoing it on the other side, right? Now you're thinking too lowly of your strategy, whereas before maybe you had the right conviction, and then it got a little bit excessive, right? That swinging kind of between overconfidence and underconfidence is really common. But generally speaking, the more that you can kind of keep yourself more balanced, more stable, kind of not getting too inflated, the less likely that you are going to lose confidence on the other side, right? And the middle ground is not neutral, right? The middle between overconfidence and underconfidence is not like emotionally numb or robotic or cold. It's stable. There's real stability in the way that you see your strategy, the way you see your ability to trade it, in your belief in your experience and your knowledge. There's stability there. That's what you're after there. Confidence should be an accurate reflection of your ability, right? But perceptually, it's kind of hard to know exactly what that is, especially in an environment like trading where there's a lot of false feedback in the short term. So it's hard to know exactly what your skills and strategy is capable of until you get enough data, enough experience, right? And then even when you have it, right, it's easy to get kind of caught up in different cycles. I've talked with institutional traders, people who are trading hundreds of millions of dollars a year, and they still can get sucked into periods where they get overconfident and lacking confidence, right? So this is not like something that you become immune to once you reach a certain scale or size. It's not about that. It's about how accurate can you be about your skills and knowledge and system and strategy and experience. And the more accurate you are, the more stable your confidence, right? The overconfidence and the underconfidence come from believing things that are not true. And that's what you're trying to figure out here. So I think in this case, right, believing that the next phase was going to be easy is just a little bit overconfident, because it's not really true. You don't know that until you're on the other side. What if I'm using an aggressive strategy and I back tested and forward tested the win rate to be nice? Would it still be a bad to risk more? What if I'm using an aggressive strategy? You're kind of getting into a little bit some of the technical side of this thing here, and I'm not super comfortable just answering that part of it. But yeah, I think you have to understand that the back and forward testing is not determining of what's going to happen in the future, right? It's just helping you to craft a probabilistic system that has edge. So yeah, I think you need some like real results of proof that the strategy is working in the way that you do, I think, before you start adding risk. Otherwise, unless you're willing to take that risk, to me, it's risky. What about it being underconfident? Same deal, right? As I was just describing, there's things that you believe that are untrue about yourself, about your strategy, about your system, that are kind of wearing down on your mentality, and so you need to figure out what those are. Or it's deserved because your strategy, it actually is not profitable, and the lack of confidence is a reflection of that. Knowing which is which can be hard, but I don't want you to believe that, just willy-nilly that your strategy is profitable. It's hard to develop sometimes. So I think you have to examine for yourself, right? How certain are you that your strategy works and is able to adapt to different conditions, or doesn't need to? And how well do you think this lack of confidence is a result of some underlying flaws or biases? Right? Some things that are kind of not true in terms of your approach. So, are you expecting yourself to be in more control of your results? Because then if you are and the results are poor, you're going to lose confidence. To what degree are you, expecting to make money every day? Because then if you're not, then you're going to lose confidence in the short term. What about your progress, right? If you're expecting yourself to make more progress, if you think that you did make more progress and then are having these steps backwards, right? The faulty way in which you view learning and improvement can be a cause of underconfidence. So again, you're kind of trying to distinguish the underconfidence that's coming from the flaws, biases, wishes, illusions, things like I just mentioned, or that are a correct result of like actual factual weakness in your strategy. After finding a strategic edge in the market, how can someone stay consistently? I'm assuming you mean like stay consistent in your application of that edge. That's the challenge. I mean, we don't know what flaws or biases you're bringing into the market, right? What issues you have with discipline and patience, right? There's all these performance issues that many of you bring into the market, right? That are coming from other areas of your life or haven't had to be kind of worked through, because the trading can be complicated. So how do you stay consistent? I would say the easiest way is to use that data collection worksheet that I've shared before, and I'll pull up again real quick. And you're going to use this worksheet. One second here. Okay. There we go. You're going to use this worksheet to take down notes every time that you can sense yourself, like even it's just kind of the impulses to be inconsistent, right? To violate that strategy. Sometimes just the thought like will precede the actual action of doing that. But certainly if you do violate the strategy, then go through this worksheet. And I don't want to go too deep into it because I've talked about it before. We can stop the share here now. That to me is how you're going to develop the consistency. It's just like kind of figuring out where those points of deviation are in your execution of it. But sometimes there are additional strategic elements too. I mean, Just because you find an edge doesn't mean that it doesn't need to be continually refined and improved. So don't discount in the long term the necessity to do that. Listening to you looks like I have gambling behavior. What's the best way to understand this behavior in detail and arrest it? First of all, if you have a true gambling addiction, I would strongly suggest that you go find a therapist, find a psychologist, find somebody who you can work with, because it's very difficult to work out on your own. And certainly if the risks of, losing a lot of money are real, you don't want to take that risk, right? That's the whole kind of point of what defines gambling, is like basically betting with money. Not only do you have a negative edge, but it's going to have a very distinct cost in your life. And so working with a professional who can help you is really important. These are intense issues. And it's when you're dealing with it on your own, you kind of have to be like your own therapist, your own coach for yourself. At the times when your mind is already kind of compromised, like to really kind of strategize and game plan, that is very, very difficult to do on your own. I don't work with anybody that has a real gambling problem, right? There's a distinct line between kind of like desperation and gambling, that I do talk about in chapter 7 of the Mental Game of Trading, in the confidence chapter. So yeah, if you want to try to better understand the behavior, right, you can go right into that chapter. But the arresting of it, I don't know that the strategy that I've employed in that chapter is going to be enough for you. Gambling behavior, right? If it's not like a true addiction, can be worked through, but it is not something that is worked through lightly. Again, because those impulses are so intense, to create a system and a structure to defend against them, is your kind of primary goal early. And then to work through the underlying causes of that impulses is vital. So it's going to take a lot of work, which is why, again, I suggest you work with somebody on it. Do you suggest to have a monthly profit limit so you avoid overconfidence and losing profits? You can do that in the short term, okay? But if you are doing that long term, then you're band-aiding the overconfidence. You're actually not solving it. Right? You're basically just preventing yourself from making too much money to then get overconfident. It's at a certain point, you're basically capping your upside, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense, right? So you want to, at this point, right now, before even overconfidence hits, it clearly has happened to you before. So if it happened to you before, you can try to better understand it, right? What are the details of it? Why does it happen? What are you believing that's untrue? Right? The overconfidence is you believing something that's not true. And if you can define what that is now, it's probably what's going to happen in the future. Right? And sometimes it's as simple as believing that you're going to make this much money next month, believing that you're going to make this much money tomorrow, believing that your goals are assured. It's like there's something about the future that you're assuming is going to happen. And you're not psychic, so you can't know that. And that's kind of the beginnings of where overconfidence becomes problematic. Do you have advice to practice set and forget? What are your thoughts on setting break even? I don't give out, kind of blanket advice on strategy, right? If you're going to change your stops to break even, it has to fit within your system. I have clients that do that, and I have clients that don't. So, it's not wrong unless it's wrong for you, and it's not right unless it's right for you. That you have to define for yourself. The set it and forget it, you can use the data collection worksheet, right? Anytime that you set your stops, set your entries, set your stops, set your targets, you do all that systematically. And then if you are unable to walk away, try walking away and then writing about what's going through your mind and what's making it so difficult for you to truly kind of give up that control. I think a lot of times traders do have a difficult time doing that, right? You feel like being there is better. You feel like being there means that you're in control. when in reality, for many of you, being there is actually where you lose control, because just kind of getting swept up in the momentum and thinking that you have some ability to navigate the trade on the fly, right, means that you're violating the whole way in which your strategy is constructed. So the control lies in the construction and the execution of the strategy in whatever way that works. And if that means you not being there, well, then that's what it means. It doesn't mean that you're in more control just because you see what's happening, right? I mean, if you can hop on an airplane or get an airplane, right, you have no control. Like, the pilot is the one that's kind of in control there, right? The market's the one in control of the results of this, kind of individual trade. If you can get on an airplane, you can walk away from a trade. How do you get out of an extreme drawdown, or any drawdown for that matter? How do you deal with that? Well, the way to get out of a drawdown is to make money. I don't. What you're asking? Like, how do you trade out of a drawdown? I can't help you with that. How do you deal with it? Well, measure yourself against your own performance metrics. There's certainly it can be difficult to deal with, because in drawdowns you can lose a lot of confidence, and sometimes unnecessarily so, right? You can be trading properly, taking the right trades that are just continually failing. I mean, if you've got a system that has a 40% win rate, you could lose 8 trades in a row easily. Like, that's well within the realm of possibility. So now, is it going to happen every time? Of course not. But the point is, like, to be able to understand the difference between your P&L performance and your execution performance. That's how you deal with these drawdowns better. Frankly, that's how you deal with, extreme upswings as well, where, you're on a heater. Make sure that your execution is staying on point. You should be just as aggressive at ensuring that you're trading properly, when you're doing really well, just as you're doing poorly. The more consistent you are in how you handle, whether you're winning or losing, that's how you create more consistency, right? Consistency in process and execution starts to break apart your excessive connection to P&L, which is hard for many of you, but is necessary to become, a seasoned trader. How can I, the trader, strike the right balance between being overconfident and underconfident? So, Stephen, as I was mentioning earlier, right, it's not like trying to swing between over and underconfidence. It's about kind of stepping out of that game and having more stability and control over the things that are firmly in your control, right? The more that you think or expect that you can make money every day, the more that you believe that you have control over your short-term outcomes, right? You're going to be overconfident when it's going well and underconfident when it's not. And that's what's going to create the swing. But it's the perspective, it's the belief that you're bringing into the market that creates that deviation. If you remove it entirely, right, and you can show up understanding, okay, I have no control over my results today. I have the ability to control my execution, right? To be very poised and patient and present and focused and diligent around executing my strategy. If I do that, that is where the confidence is going to come from today. Now, over the course of 2 to 3 months, if I'm doing all that and I'm losing money, well, then yes, now it's time to re-examine the strategy and make sure that, and maybe sooner than that, but certainly not within the week, certainly not within the day. Right? What do you have control of today? You don't have control of your results. So whether it's that, whether it's the wishing, whether it's the illusion of control, whether it's the hindsight bias, right? The confirmation bias, right? The need to be right. Sometimes you want trades to win, not just because you want the money, because you want to be right in terms of your conviction, right? But then, were you really right, or were you just probabilistically right? It doesn't mean that you were right on this individual trade. It means that you were right over the long term, over these 100 trades. You got your 60%. Or get your 40% winners with your 2.5R, and you're killing it. So again, the right balance is not about kind of oscillating between the two. It's about finding truth, standing on objective truth. And yes, there's a lot of uncertainty in the market, but there is also things that you can be certain about, right? And your ability to measure yourself up against your own strategy and the execution of that. There is fundamental truth that you can find there. Right? And whether or not it's profitable or not is still maybe TBD, but that's the job. how can one get rid of that overconfidence boost that you get? One win, another day loss doesn't get us anywhere. So like I've talked about, right, the ability to catch those early signs of the overconfidence. So like if you have a win, and a win can create overconfidence, then as soon as you get a win, immediately start writing about what you're experiencing. And maybe you don't trade for at least an hour again, until you've been able to kind of fully absorb and understand, the nature of that overconfidence, number one. Number two, giving yourself a chance to kind of settle back down and get yourself back connected with objective truth. Right? Sometimes you get one win, and then you expect then to get the next trade is going to be a win. Right? That's kind of as basic as it gets. So you take that win, you write about what you're experiencing, right? Write about that expectation. Then you get yourself back connected to the fact that you don't know what's going to happen next. Right? Make sure that next trade aligns with your system, and then take it. Let's see what happens. That's how you can reduce that overconfidence, right? But like the problem is that it feels good, right? Overconfidence feels good. So to want yourself to not feel that is, I understand why it's odd, but you're doing it because you understand that the feeling is not real in terms of what's generating it. It's based off of a lie. So do you want to believe something that's not true just for the sake of it? Or do you want to deal with objective truth? And so that's how you work through it. But kind of catching it early is the best tactic, because once it gets to be too big, that euphoria takes hold, and it takes on a whole other life on its own. What would you advise then? A static risk percentage per trade, or can I utilize something like Kelly criterion to calculate this over time? Again, that's not something I get into. So there's lots of ways to make money in trading. Find the one that works for you. My strategy doesn't give me a trade this week. I don't make a trade. I had a feeling like I do nothing. How do I overcome that? Look, if you're not taking a trade, you are still in a position, right? As a trader, you are always in a position, whether you're in a trade or not. So if you've, not taken a trade at times where you would have in the past, then you've accomplished something that's progressive, right? You've actually improved. So not only did you not do nothing, you actually did something that was better than before. So you can get credit for that. Number two, if your strategy doesn't give you a trade and you didn't take a trade, then you've done your job as a trader. You're not paid based on your time, right? It's asymmetric in that regard, right? And that's some of the beauties of it, right? You're more like somebody who's working on commission, like realtors, at least in the U.S. Very often are on commission. They work for hours and hours and hours. They get nothing, and sometimes individual transactions, they end up with nothing, even after the transaction was very, very close to closing. But, they get the ones that close, and they get huge payouts for it. So, there's lots of different jobs out there, and not all of them are just paid based on, an hourly salary, and trading is one of them. So reorienting your mind around what this profession really entails, not to mention, to some degree, like it's not really a job. Right? Jobs are typically things that you're getting paid for, right? As a career, as a profession, right? You're paid based on your wisdom and expertise, and sometimes in an asymmetric way. Like my hourly, I think is incredibly fair given the potential returns that it provides, right? For some people, it's tiny, right? Institutional traders think that I'm effectively free. And then there's retail traders who think that I cost a lot, but the perception of what that like hourly is worth for me is different than it is for you. You're not getting paid an hourly salary. It's, it'd be more like if I was getting paid based on actually, and this is true, with some PGA Tour players, right? Oftentimes I don't get paid at all, and I've got like a percentage basis. So I could be working. Actually, in the last year, where I worked with a player very, very little and made a decent chunk, and this year worked way more and made the same amount. But you're doing it because of the asymmetric upside. That's why you do it. So All right. Yeah. Awesome. Happy to hear that. You're welcome. Don't you think the payout cycles give the false sense that trades need to be taken every day? What I can tell you is that my understanding of the way that the prop firm industry has evolved is that it gives you a sense of responsibility to be disciplined and in control. And whether those rules feel arbitrary or not, they're still the rules that you've signed up for. And there's benefits to being able to be disciplined, right? That go beyond the nature of this structure. So, whether you have that false sense or not, right? You being able to control those internal impulses that say that you have to do things that you don't, is the important priority here. So look, the ability to be disciplined as a trader is an essential skill, one that the rules can help you to actually hone. I find that I know what to do, but emotions and impulses and what I set as a target don't rest. I force the market to give it. Okay, so you're describing just the kind of the classic separation between the emotional system and the mind. So the mind is less powerful than your emotions. So when your emotions start to ramp up, that's what makes you more impulsive. And at that time, you're more impulsive because the part of the brain that would be responsible for curbing those impulses is now reduced. You have less bandwidth, you have less mental energy, less mental clarity to be able to fight against those impulses. And so you're kind of just run over by them. So you have to better understand what it is about setting a target that then makes you feel like you have to do more in order to control it, which could be that illusion, that kind of classic illusion of control, right? Or that wish that you could have control, right? That here's this target. Now that it's set, you can't just walk away and let the market do what it's going to do. And sometimes it's going to hit that target and sometimes it's not. For you to feel like you have some control over that, obviously is an illusion. But people, right? We don't know what the limitations of our control are. Right. And this is a classic example where that desire, that wish, that illusion of control kind of takes over and drives your mind into overdrive, drives your emotions into overdrive, and doesn't let you just let the market do what it's going to do. I lost 2 funded accounts after my strategy stopped working after a whole year. I still have a 50K account, but my confidence is low. How do you regain that confidence after a setback like this? You have to rebuild your strategy, clearly. I mean, if your strategy stopped working, it may not require a ton, right? It was obviously there, but to revise it, update it so that it is profitable again. I mean, you shouldn't be confident with an unprofitable strategy. Now, you didn't say anything about your execution of that strategy. If your strategy stopped working, but it really wasn't your strategy, it was really you and your execution of it, then that's different. And the regaining of that strategy means regaining that confidence is going to come from your ability to correct the errors and in that execution. So yeah, how do you regain confidence? You gotta find some stability, and it's either going to come from your ability to execute or from the strategy itself. Checking chart too often. Do you think it still has to do with confidence? Yeah, I do. You're like looking for confirmation that what you're doing is right. Like the score, like the P&L, oftentimes the chart sometimes is the scoreboard. Seeing how a trade is doing. And if you're not in trades and you're kind of constantly checking, but you have alerts that tell you that you don't need to be there, right? There's an itchiness and a desire to kind of be involved because maybe you're lacking some confidence and looking to make money as a way of getting confident, or it's been too long since a trade's been present, right? Since you had an opportunity. And so the longer that goes, it makes you feel like you're doing something wrong. So now you have to, get in a trade in order to feel like you're doing something correct. Again, building confidence again. If you're constantly checking P&L, it's oftentimes because P&L equals confidence, right? The more P&L you have, more confident you have. The less P&L you have, the losses you have, you lose confidence, right? Versus having your confidence be much more aligned with your strategy, with your ability to execute it, with the conviction that you have in both. So yeah, I do think that it is still to do with confidence. If I'm really angry due to a particular event, would it be advisable to trade nevertheless? Sometimes anger can be motivating. So it's not, again, black and white statement. You have to know for yourself whether or not anger is destructive and blinding, or whether anger can be motivating to actually get you to trade better than normal, or at least really well. And if you're in one category or the other, then you'll know whether it's advisable. If you're angry due to something that's outside of trading, something happened personally, get into a car accident, get cut off in the road, something, fight with a spouse, friend, someone, significant other, and then you go trade. If you haven't dealt with those emotions, right? If you haven't dealt with that anger and you just show up in the market, you are going to be compromised. I mean, the market's not going to bail you out and just like make you calmer and level-headed. The market's just going to raise that intensity and you're likely to do something dumb. So yeah, if you're like, that's, again, you're not paid from an hourly standpoint. As I was saying earlier, that's the beauty of trading. You don't have to be here every moment, every day in order to, so yeah, if there are days where you're not ready because you're angry, then take the time. Like, this doesn't mean you should just take the day off. Okay. I'm not saying just avoid entire responsibility for what you need to do. I am saying there's no urgency to get there now, right? The urgency needs to be to get there when you're ready. And so you have the responsibility to deal with that anger, work through it, address it, get yourself back into a more stable emotional state, and then use that as the reason to begin trading again. Yeah, if you just let yourself kind of show up to the market already angry, I mean, you're basically looking to get bailed out. Like, you need some wins early in order to, diffuse that anger, which is basically gambling in my mind. Passed my phase 1 of 100K in 38 days and phase 2 in 28 days, but I got to a real account, and I'm almost over 8 months without any withdrawal. Do you think I'm less confident here? I have no idea. You tell me. The circumstances don't tell me anything. People can react to situations very differently. I mean, I would imagine that you're not overconfident. If you were going to have a lack of confidence, it would make sense, right? Having 8 months without a withdrawal would certainly make somebody question their strategy at a minimum. But that questioning doesn't have to lead to a lack of confidence. It can just be very practical and inquisitive and curious and trying to figure out what adjustments to make, and maybe none, because it's just market conditions and this is the nature of it. So yeah, it doesn't have to lead to a lack of confidence. It could just lead to that questioning. How do I balance healthy confidence in my system with openness to being wrong or needing to adjust? I mean, I think you feel like you just sort of said it with your question. Healthy confidence includes being open to being wrong and then needing to adjust. So if you're coming into the market with the expectation that you won't be wrong and that you don't need to adjust, well, then you are not going to have that healthy balance. That healthy balance would include, being able to be wrong, or at least to be able to handle losing, right? Which doesn't mean that you were wrong. Being wrong might be winning a trade that you shouldn't have been in, or winning an amount that you shouldn't have because it was double the size. Right? The being wrong is, I think, best determined when we look at your execution, not necessarily your P&L and your outcomes. Can overconfidence ever be temporarily useful, like during high conviction trade, or should it always be eliminated? No, we don't take blanket statements with almost anything here, right? The blanket statements, the fundamental truths are the biological rules that we have to play by. Beyond that, yeah, there are situations where overconfidence can be useful. But here's the thing. In that scenario, overconfidence has to be linked with intuition, right? High conviction trade, if it's a high conviction trade that's within your system, then you should already have the rules that are going to maybe perhaps allow you to size up here, right? And that was predetermined. To do it on the fly means that you're using discretion, and discretion in this scenario has to rely on real intuition, right? A real sense or feeling that is telling you to take more risk. And if you're new to the game, it's hard to have that real intuition yet. You need experience, right? You need 12, 18, 24 months of real experience before that intuition starts to become, reliable. And ideally, you'd have some proof of that reliability before, scaling up or sizing up. I would say also, like, overconfidence, like if we're talking about it like a scale, so like 0 confidence would be none. 100 would be like extremely overconfident. 50 would be the theoretical ideal, but I think 51 is the practical ideal, meaning there's just like a little bit of that extra kind of conviction in your strategy, your system, and your abilities, because we don't know exactly what our real skills are at any given point in time. Like, we need a bigger sample. So like, as you're kind of going through that, having just a tiny bit of overconfidence, right? Like that 1%, I think is generally useful, but it has to also include, right, the willingness and ability to examine mistakes, losses, etc., to continue to learn, right? It's not excessive in a blind way. It's just having a little more kind of swagger and conviction in your abilities while you're in the process of figuring out exactly what you're capable of. Sounds good, Owie. And keep those questions coming while we're taking a break.
In the city of London, at the age of 18, most are still searching for direction.
I had some of my friends who were quite unsupportive of my trading journey. A lot of them saying, "Oh, you won't make it big in this industry. Just stick to a 9 to 5.
I'm feeling low again. They said I'm today.
He found his
Wanna let it
in
go.
the silence.
I didn't listen to any of that.
The charts, the early mornings, the choice to live life on his terms.
Honestly, if I was not a trader at this age, I don't think I would know what I'd be doing right now.
The choice to live life on his terms.
Hello, my name is Daniel. I'm 18 years old and I'm from London, United Kingdom.
All right. Lots of great questions. Super excited by the engagement here. So let's keep it up. There's more work to be done. So let's keep the questions going and rock and roll here. All right. How can I train myself to stay calm and detached during trades, especially when I'm close to the max drawdown on a prop account? You got to be thinking about the long term here. And like, if you end up losing the account, you lose the right way. If you gamble and keep the account, you reinforce bad behavior that's going to get punished in the future. So I think the calmness comes from a commitment to doing what you know is right. And I'm not saying that that's easy, right? Just like it's not easy when you're in the gym and your muscles are burning, right? But you can stay calm in that moment because the calmness is connected to the clarity of your purpose. The detachment, I don't love that term, right? You've got to be attached to something. And so if you attach yourself to your goals, your aspirations in the long term, in those moments, I think that's what can help you. It sucks to lose accounts. It sucks to lose accounts when you're doing what you think is correct. But sometimes it happens as part of the learning process. So again, as long as you're kind of executing properly, that means that you're at least controlling what you can control. So the calmness again comes through the conviction, to the clarity of what you're attempting to accomplish long term, not looking for sort of short term bailouts to make you, feel a little bit better. Right? So yeah, the calmness is, in this case, I think maybe not necessarily a feeling of always calm, but a clarity with what you need to be doing in those moments. What kind of journaling practices do you recommend to track overconfidence or emotional bias? Good question. So the data collection worksheet, right, as I showed earlier, let me pull it back up again. I can freaking close it. Is a great tool for that. Effectively, you're kind of just looking for any indications of any of the symptoms that I described here, right? So common signs or the subtle signs, right? You see any of these or others, then that's when you're going to start to use this data collection worksheet. And so you're going to use it in real time. You can stop the share now. You can use it in real time, right? As you recognize it. You can do it at the end of the trading day when there's maybe a bit more time to be able to reflect and unpack more of what you were experiencing from an emotional standpoint, from an overconfidence standpoint, or an emotional standpoint. And you don't have to use this construct. Again, freely available on my website, jaredtendler.com/worksheets. But you can also just use like a straight, Word doc, blank sheet of paper, just like write down exactly kind of what you're experiencing in kind of more of like a brain dump kind of narrative flow sort of thing. Once you start to find some of the indicators of overconfidence, right? Here are the clear signals for you. You have this thought. You can feel, maybe your heart rate going higher, right? It becomes a clear indicator of overconfidence. Then what you can do is, at the end of the trading day, ask yourself the question, were any of X, Y, and Z signals present, right? And then if they were, say yes, and then maybe describe a little bit more about it. So that becomes your way of tracking. You sort of have the pre-market indicators for yourself, and then post-market, you are identifying, if they were present. Ideally, again, you're still tracking them in real time so that you're avoiding any mistakes that there and come in. But I'll say, generally speaking, good journaling practices include a general assessment of how you're performing. So just kind of asking yourself a handful of questions can be the prompt to help kind of dig out of your brain kind of more of what's going on. Because sometimes for some people, the blank sheet of paper, just like the big open text box, it's like you just don't really remember all of the details. But if you ask yourself some questions, right? What did I do well? What progress did I make? What mistakes did I make? What things did I learn? What biases were present? What negative impulses were present? You can just ask yourself some questions. That's kind of an easy way to allow yourself to get the information that you need. Recently read your book. Great. Hands down, by far the best practical book I read about trading psychology. What do you suggest? Okay, so I appreciate the good words. Now you're asking, like, what else do I suggest you read? If you haven't read Fooled by Randomness, if you're new to trading and you haven't read Fooled by Randomness, I would strongly suggest reading that. Another book on my shelf, you can see it in green. It's a poker book, but it also really does kind of delve into probabilities. It's called On the Edge by Nate Silver. Great book as well. Like if you need help with habits, right? Book right next to it is Atomic Habits. Fantastic book there. Yeah, I think if you're looking for more psychological work, I would actually suggest that you do more than just read my book. I hear that exact line pretty frequently. Sorry to say, it's not a book that you can just read and have it produce all of the kind of positive results that you're after. You do actually have to put in some of the work in dissecting and correcting the fear, the FOMO, the revenge trading, the anger, the greed, the overconfidence, the discipline issues. So just make sure you're doing some of the work as well, right? Some of the things we've talked about here today and in previous sessions. Don't just read it. It's a book that you have to make practical use of. But yeah, if you have other specific topics that you're interested in reading, then yeah, I'm happy to give you more suggestions on books to read, but beyond the ones I mentioned. How do I stay grounded after a big win, especially when I feel invincible? Well, what do you think is driving that invincibility? Right? You have to believe something that is not true, and that belief, that flaw, right, is driving that sense of invincibility. I mean, and it's as simple as you can't fly. Okay, right? You're not gonna have another big win after this. Or I should say, you don't know that you're going to have another big win after this. You don't know that the next trades are going to be profitable. You don't know that you're going to be making the millions or having the house or quitting your job or whatever it is that you're envisioning in your mind at that time. You don't know that those are going to happen. And frankly, even if you got them, you don't know that you're going to keep them. Right? Lots of people win the lottery and then are broke or back to their prior income level within 3 to 5 years. So how do you stay grounded after a big win? You remind yourself that you can't fly. You remind yourself that you're not psychic. You remind yourself that you don't know what's going to happen. You're not paid to know what's going to happen. All right. Enjoy it. I'd say maybe give yourself a full day to absorb it where you don't trade. All right. You certainly don't spend the money. Even if you take it as a payout. Give yourself some time to absorb the impact of it, and then go back to trading, understanding full well that nothing really has changed, right? The big win was not confirmation that your future is assured. The big win probably included a bunch of luck, because if it was a big win, that's generally what happens in trading, right? There's a bunch of luck that was in your favor. How much so, we don't know, okay? But a portion of it is that way. Right, you can't realize that much, right? Because that was truly your edge. Well, then it wouldn't be a big win. That would just be a normal size win. Is there any probability that you will start writing a book on how to golf? Because I really like your golf kit. I will never write an instructional book on golf, but yes, I will write a book on the psychology of golf for sure. Sometimes I catch myself thinking I'll be right eventually. How do I cut that mindset? You might be right eventually, but it might cost you so much that you'll still be wrong. Right? Like, what does being right mean? Like, right in this individual trade or right in the totality of all the trades you're taking? Right? If you're just trying to be right once, well, cool. Then what are you trying to accomplish? Right? Are you trying to be profitable, or are you trying to be right? Sounds like you're trying to be right. So, yeah, I mean, you've got to take that step back and remind yourself of the objective truth here. I can be right and still be wrong, right? Because I can be right in this trade and wrong in the totality. So, take that step back and understand what you're actually trying to be, actually trying to accomplish. What are some warning signs you've seen in traders who became overconfident and blew their accounts? Yeah, all the signs I mentioned earlier. So we can throw those up there again. Oh, you want to do the screen share here? All right. There you go. These guys. And this is what you're looking out for. Now, the blowing up accounts, you can stop it there. Whether you blow up accounts generally means that the overconfidence is still present when you're taking on losses. So the overconfidence, right, kind of leads you higher. But then as soon as you start taking a few losses, it will quickly turn into revenge trading. And so it's like your kind of reaction to a loss is really kind of the first indicator. But as I said before, the more you can kind of reduce the severity of that overconfidence, the easier it will be for you to handle that first loss, right? Better, and then make it a little bit easier to avoid the revenge trading that leads to a lot of blowups. I try to journal my trades after taking screenshots and then go through them in the weekend. How can I observe my trades and learn without fully changing my system every time? I feel like you're saying two different things here. Okay, now I get it. So you're basically like taking these screenshots, looking at your trades, looking at the ones that failed, and trying to learn from it. But really all you're doing is trying to retrofit it so that you could basically try to win from every trade is maybe what I'm gathering here, like that you believe it's possible to win every trade or to be profitable from every trade. And it's not. So understanding that objective truth is how you can observe individual trades and look for opportunities to improve. But then understand that there will be times where if you don't see anything that you could have done differently within your system, then there wasn't at this point in your career. Maybe there will be in the future. Maybe you go back and look at that trade 2 years from now. You'd be like, this is what I could have done here. But you needed more wisdom to be able to understand what that was. So, yeah, I think if you're going into those reviews with an inherent desire for perfection, that just doesn't exist. How do you not marry your trade ideas? You understand that they're ideas. They're not fundamental truth. They're not guarantees of future profits. You don't know what's going to happen. So you can have conviction in your trade ideas, but you can't have certainty that they're going to play out. You're not like marrying a person. You are betting on an idea. And when you're betting on an idea and you have a profitable strategy from which that idea is coming from, you're not paid to know what's going to happen in this instance. And there will be plenty of ideas that maybe would have worked out if not for this random news event. So you are right in theory, but wrong in timing. Sucks. It's the nature of the game. It's too many variables. You can't control it. This is not even we've compared things to poker before because I work with poker players. There's a fixed set of variables in poker. There are not in trading. So you can't marry yourself to an infinite number of permutations. Believing that you can is what can drive a lot of overconfidence. How do you distinguish between confidence built on skill and overconfidence rooted in recent wins? Again, that's where you got to have to kind of distinguish it for yourself, right? Generally speaking, confidence built on skill is going to have stability in it. It's not going to have these sort of spikes of excitement. It's what I would say is kind of more of like your bones are strong versus like flexing. Like the overconfidence is like a very intense, kind of high, and like you get from working out. Confidence is stable and consistent, and there are other markers that you experience, right? Overconfidence has those markers too. So there's a deviation. You have to spend the time. You can very easily just take a piece of paper, draw a line down the middle, write down confidence on one side, overconfidence on the other, and describe the differences. And then maybe you'll find the one characteristic that that is like assures you that you can very cleanly and simply identify overconfidence. So for example, it might be that you start like looking for the next trade. And it doesn't sound that strange, but you can sense that the looking is almost like you're actively trying to force another trade because you believe that the next one is just going to win because the recent ones have. And when you're in that very stable, confident state, you don't look for the next trade. You close a trade, and then you're kind of relaxed. It's like, all right, that's over with. Let's see what next is going to happen. And you're just there kind of waiting, almost like tossing that fishing line back out, right? You're not like scouring the pond, like looking for the next fish that you're going to, try to throw the reel right on top of. And that subtle difference is what distinguishes confidence from overconfidence for you. Okay. Everybody's got their own points of differentiation. There's a lot of commonalities, but again, at the end of the day, you got to figure out what the ones for you. Can you help me with some mental exercises I can use to get that ironclad conviction in a trade while being open to probabilities of what happens in the trade? I mean, sometimes I think it's like mental exercises is tricky. I know I use the analogy to like working out, but like the mentality that you're trying to build here requires repetition. And so the repetition here can be connection to your goals. It can be a stronger conviction in your strategy. It can be the diligence that you have in your preparation, and then the belief and trust that you have in it. It could be, reading books like I mentioned, right? On the Edge, Fooled by Randomness, Trading in the Zone, right? Books that help to anchor you to the probabilistic realities of trading. And maybe it's reading short passages like every day or several times throughout the day, right? Again, it's not about reading a book cover to cover. It's about internalizing the messaging and really deeply internalizing it, which takes training and repetition. There aren't like kind of workouts. I'm not going to tell you to do like a puzzle as a mental exercise. It's really about like finding the ideas that you need to be training at a deep level and repeating them over and over again in a variety of different situations and perhaps from a variety of different sources that can help to kind of really anchor you to the probabilistic realities of trading. All right. How do you truly convince yourself to think long-term and delay instant gratification, especially due to this reign where people flex? Yeah, I know what you're saying. Like where there's so many examples of people showing their Lambos and flying on private jets and yada, yada, yada. It's all a bunch of BS. Again, I think what I mentioned earlier about the lottery winners is a really important one. Because again, like if you were to get everything you envisioned, would you have it in 3 to 5 years? And you might believe that you are special, but 80% of people, there's a 4 in 5 chance that you are going to lose everything that was just handed to you. Okay, then you're willing to delay gratification because you need to develop the skill to continue to build or to continue to make money in trading, to be able to understand how to navigate the challenges that comes with having money and assets and things that you envision. It's not like you arrive at this place where like everything is easy and glorious. Classic line, more money, more problems. It's not that, like, it's not a burden. I mean, it's not like I'm there, perhaps, but so I can't speak from a personal experience here. But like, it's not like it's all negative, I guess was my point. But there's challenges that exist there, right? And I think too often people in your position think too idealistically. You thinking in a fantasy-like way about what it would be like if you had all that. I'm not saying it wouldn't be fun, but it sometimes would be more painful to lose it than to actually never have it. So the delaying of gratification is a necessity, because if you don't, then you never develop the skill to even manage what it is that you would want to have. Right? It's one thing to realize a dream; it's another to preserve it, grow it, and allow it to last for a long period of time. How long does it take to master the mindset? Sometimes my mind says one thing and I do the complete opposite and I regret it. How do I end this loop? What's your definition of mastery? I would argue that you can have high degrees of skill and proficiency with your mentality, but mastery sort of suggests like an endpoint. I mean, I would argue that the best traders don't believe that they've mastered trading, which is effectively kind of what you're asking, right? The best traders don't believe they've mastered trading because they understand that it's a game that, can't be solved and will continually change. So the ever evolving nature of our mentality is something that can't be mastered as well. Can you have incredibly high levels of skill? Absolutely. So if you're going to take the next steps towards mastery, then like doing some of the work that I've talked about today to address those instances where your mind says one thing and you do the opposite, right? It means that you're emotional when that happens, right? It means that you're emotional and you're not aware of the emotions. That's what's happening in that moment. So how long will it take you to master that situation? Well, how long is it going to take you to identify and uncover the nature of those emotions and to understand the flaws, biases, wishes that are kind of present there, and then develop a strategy to deal with those situations, and then train that correction and handle those situations better and better until the point where, it's gone entirely. 6 months? It's not 1 month. Very, very likely it's not 3 months. So, generally a lot longer than people think. But that's just talking about like mastery of one situation. I don't believe you can have mastery of your mindset as much as people might wish or think that was true. How do you define the best traders? Is it just numbers or a mindset or both? Generally, it's both. I mean, it's generally numbers, but they oftentimes have the mindset to go with it too. At the end of it all, confidence is still necessary when it comes to trading. If one isn't confident in his system, I don't think he or she is going to grow as a trader. What do I think? I mean, if you're not confident in your system, that's okay as long as you're willing to go through the process to prove its viability. So you could say theoretically, like, I've developed this thing. It seems to have edge, but I'm not really totally convicted in it. But I'm going to experiment with it for 90 days to see what happens. After 90 days, it proves to be profitable. You're like, all right, well, maybe there's something. Maybe there really is something here. And then you give it another, 60, 90 days and keep trying it out. And then eventually, sometimes the confidence can be a lagging indicator. I don't think you have to lead with confidence. I think you have to lead with the desire to find objective truth and find out what is real. Again, confidence is just an emotion. We're trying to deal with real skills, real knowledge, real systems, or the realities of those systems and the realities of those skills. And so confidence is just the emotion that reflects your perception of that. You don't have to have it. It's nice when it's there, but you don't want it to be wrong, right? If the feeling is inaccurate, well, then, you're not really in the best spot you could be either. So. I know my win rate due to prior trading. If I'm in a losing streak, would it be wiser to pause and take a look at market conditions to see if it matches the best conditions for my system? Just a little too much technical stuff in there. I mean, I don't want to comment. I think you're better off getting advice from somebody that, yeah, it's not on the. I'm not the yeah. It's more technical than I feel comfortable answering. Are we out of questions? Look at that. Crank through a lot here today. Good stuff. So, well, we wait maybe for a few other questions to kind of roll in here. Yeah, I think the work is the important piece here, right? You all are not doing this as a hobby. So don't just take the advice that I've given today and assume that it's just naturally going to kind of spring to life. And now you're suddenly in control of your overconfidence or in control of any issue that you've been dealing with. There's work right there. Again, there's the preparation, there's the diligence to do the data collection worksheet, the note taking, and the journaling. There's the creation of your maps and profiles, which I talked in detail about in the mental game of trading. That's the work, right, that's needed here. The repetition is key. Once you kind of find a strategy that's working, you got to get in the gym, basically, right? You got to do the work. In other words, less about, again, the mental exercises and more about the exercising of your mind, right? The repetition that is what creates the strength. So, if there's one mistake that is most common, as I see, it's thinking that these sessions is just the osmosis, right? You're just absorbing, all of the knowledge and wisdom and ideas and strategies, and just thinking that that's going to instantly kind of click into place. And look, there's a refinement, there's a application, there's a testing that has to go on, much like, what you've experienced, within trading and your trading strategy. Right? The psychology is very, very similar. All right. What other questions do we have here? I know you all still have to have more that you want addressed into our things that I can help with. So awesome. All right, we'll enjoy it. Listen, I think Trading the Zone and my book are a great complement to each other, right? It talks about concepts and stuff that I do not, because it was written well before my book came out, right? And I wrote The Mental Game of Trading, not to be a compliment to it, right? That wasn't the intent, but I think it does complement it well, because if you continue to have issues with FOMO and greed and revenge trading and anger and confidence and overconfidence and discipline, after reading that book, then it tells you that there's just a bit more complexity to what you're dealing with, right? Simple issues have simple answers. When you don't find answers from simple solutions, well, then it just means that it's more complicated, and that there's nothing wrong with that, right? There's complexity that exists in the world. So that's where the mental game of trading kind of picks up, right? And giving you the foundational elements of what it takes to build a mental game strategy, a strategy for trading psychology. And so that's where my book comes in. Awesome. Happy to hear that. I'm glad you spent some time with us today. All right, Ahoy. I see your message there. Do you think music helps in keeping head cool while trading? Also, the environment I'm in? Sure. Look, there's lots of ways to get it done. Having some music can, put you in a better mood. It can be maybe a welcome distraction. But for others, sometimes it can be an unwelcome distraction. Sometimes for others, it can generate too much of a good mood, right? And actually produce overconfidence. So I think you've got to find the music that can, either help you based on kind of your mood and having a range of music that can support you, or it can be like a thing that you find just like consistently. Like this style of music just keeps me in a better zone. So yeah, you absolutely can do that. All right, Ohi. Good stuff, everybody. Yeah, we're back next week. Different day. Okay, different day, a little bit earlier. But I'll be excited to be speaking with you all again next time. Bring back your feedback. Bring back your updates. I want to see not just how you're doing, so not just what questions you have, but I want to hear about your progress, perhaps with overconfidence, perhaps in handling losses, or in other things you're dealing with. So, everybody, be well. Take care. When I take losses, I tend to miss my next trades, which turn out to be winners. How do I break this? Okay. The bigger issue here is not that your next trades turn out to be winners. It's that the losses affect you so much that you miss the next trade. Being able to deal with that loss well enough so that you can recover quickly and get yourself back sharp, and then take the next trade. I mean, there's no chance that the next trade is constantly winning, right? At like a 90 to 100% win rate. You're telling me that suddenly the probability of you winning is much greater after taking a loss? No.
In the city of London, at the age of 18, most are still searching for direction.
I had some of my friends who were quite unsupportive of my trading journey. A lot of them saying, "Oh, you won't make it big in this industry. Just stick to a 9 to 5.
I'm feeling low again. They said I'm today.
He found his
Wanna let it
in
go.
the silence.
I didn't listen to any of that.
The charts, the early mornings, the choice to live life on his terms.
Honestly, if I was not a trader at this age, I don't think I would know what I'd be doing right now.
The choice to live life on his terms.
Hello, my name is Daniel. I'm 18 years old and I'm from London, United Kingdom.
Look, replay demo accounts, it's not real trading, right? It's practice. You're playing basketball, playing a pickup game where it doesn't really matter, or just out there shooting by yourself. You're playing a practice round in a golf tournament, before a golf tournament. It's not the actual tournament, right? So your struggle is that you likely don't have enough mental and emotional control to be able to manage live trading. And that's okay. It's intense.
In the city of London, at the age of 18, most are still searching for direction.
I had some of my friends who were quite unsupportive of my trading journey. A lot of them saying, "Oh, you won't make it big in this industry. Just stick to a 9 to 5.
I'm feeling low again. They said I'm today.
He found his
Wanna let it
in
go.
the silence.
I didn't listen to any of that.
The charts, the early mornings, the choice to live life on his terms.
Honestly, if I was not a trader at this age, I don't think I would know what I'd be doing right now.
The choice to live life on his terms.
Hello, my name is Daniel. I'm 18 years old and I'm from London, United Kingdom.
Put 'em up, put 'em up, put 'em up now. Yeah, yeah.
F-U-N-D-E-D-N-E-X-T.